All right, so we've got our cranium. We've got our frontal bone of the cranium. Oh, it's hard to see this. We have our parietal bones. So our parietal bones here. Temporal bones on the side here. It's our temporal bone. The zygomatic process is this little thing here, this little buddy here. The mastoid process. Let's see. Mastoid process here. Kind of forgot there just for a second. It's mastoid process. The occipital bone back there, back of the skull. That's our occipital bone. The foramen magnum. It's hard to tell, but it's the hole in the base of the skull that our kind of vertebral column is going into right now. The superior and inferior orbital fissures. The superior fissure is more in here. The inferior fissure is in here. The lacrimal bones, these kind of bones, it's like on the side of the nose here. Lacrimal bones, and to go along with that, we have lacrimal fossa. So there's like a little indentation there. It's kind of hard to tell in here, but that's the lacrimal fossa. The maxilla. The maxilla is this bone. Is this up here? And the actually the zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone. Okay. The zygomatic bone is this bone right here. And the hard palate is really the roof of the mouth right here. All right, so let's move into some sutures. So we have a coronal, just for reference, this is the frontal bone, this is the occipital bone. So the frontal or coronal suture is this suture right here. That's that. Then we have the occipital suture. Occipital suture is going to be here in the back, right there. See occipital suture. The temporal suture. Temporal suture is going to be right around in this area, right in here. Temporal suture. And the longitudinal suture, I'll take them back off. Longitudinal suture is this long one here, kind of going between the parietal bones. The mandible. All right, the mandible is kind of going crazy right now, but this is the mandible. This bone here, mandible. The ramus of the mandible. Ramus is this section right here. The body is kind of this all in here. The mandibular condyle is this buddy here, kind of sticking out. That's the mandibular condyle. The coronoid process is this other little like protrusion that's right here. And the mandibular notch is that little notch that's in between those two, that little space there. Okay, and the hyoid bone. Oh, I always forget that one because it's hard to see on here. The hyoid bone is the one that's up in here that's more superior to the larynx. Now let's move into the spine. So these are vertebrae that protect our spine. The cervical region is this region up here. This is the thoracic region, and this is our lumbar region down low. The sacrum is that bone right there. Vertebrae parts. So the body of the excuse me, the body of the vertebrae. Okay, hard to show you, but the body of the vertebrae is going to be that surface that's really covered by that vertebrae above it. The spinous process is going to be this little process here that kind of goes out away. So spinous process. Transverse process are going to be these processes that are on the sides here. Transverse. Intervertebral foramen. Not going to be able to see it, but it's in between the little foramen that's going to be on the side, like holes on the sides of in there. I don't know if you can see it. And the intervertebral disc, our little man here doesn't have them, but those are going to be little discs that are in between each of our vertebrae, and it's, you know, just for absorption and shock and all that stuff. It really helps. All right, this here is our sternum. All right, what I show you on here, the manubrium. The manubrium on the sternum is this part of the sternum right here. The body of the sternum is all of this, and the xiphoid process is this little elongated thing that's kind of going away from the body. Let's see, we have ribs next. Okay. Okay, the true ribs are going to be the first, these first set of ribs here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are our true ribs, and our false ribs, or more like floating ribs, are going to be these down here. Okay, this is our clavicle. That bone right there is the clavicle. This is the sternal end. This is the acromion clavicular joint. The scapula in the back here. This is our scapula. Okay, for the scapula, we have the glenoid cavity or fossa here. The acromion process is this thing kind of coming out up here. Oh, goodness, it's hard to... Acromion process. It's like sticking out there. Coronoid fossa. Okay. Lateral epicondyle, medial epicondyle. Goodness gracious. Radius. This right here is the radius. This is the ulna. The olecranon process right here. Carpal bones up here, and hands. The phalanges. Okay, with the phalanges, we have medial, proximal, and distal with our phalanges. All right, we're going to move into the pelvis now. All right, with the pelvis, we have the iliac crest here. We have the iliac fossa. The anterior superior iliac spine is up here. And the sacroiliac joint, it's going to be this joint right here. Let's see what's next. Okay, the ischium. The ischium is going to be that bone there. Pubic symphysis. Is that there? All right, moving on to the legs. The femur is this big bone here. It's the head of our femur. That's the greater trochanter. That's the lesser trochanter. That's the head of it. That's the neck of it. We have the medial epicondyle. We have the lateral epicondyle. We have the patella surface. We have the tibia. We have the fibula. We have the calcaneus. The metatarsals here on the toes. And the phalanges. The talus and calcaneus, these are bones in here. Right in there. All right, and my 12 minutes are up.